close.
Tempest Rising is a real-time strategy game set in a sci-fi world. The story of Tempest Rising takes place in a distant future, within a sci-fi world where various factions are fighting for control over resources and territories. Each faction is engaged in massive wars to gain dominance over the world and its natural resources. The game seems to showcase intense battles and complex strategies within futuristic environments.
Inferior life forms will be activated.
Rainbow Six Siege Rawara is a new update for the game Rainbow Six Siege, introducing a new operator named Rawara. Rawara, hailing from a native background, brings unique skills to the Rainbow team for special operations. The story of this update revolves around a new operation where the Rainbow team faces new threats and unknown dangers. Rawara joins as an expert in tracking and hunting enemies, with abilities like environmental simulation and enemy trapping. In this update, the Rainbow team must track down thieves armed with new technologies that threaten global security. Players can utilize new skills and equipment to assist the team in resisting growing threats.
Objective secure. Let's get out of here. Mierda. I thought I was dead. I owe you one.
Two, technically. You have the tracker?
Secure. We have a shot at finding Dokkaebi.
Post-Trauma is a psychological horror game that delves into the mind of the protagonist, navigating a world filled with disturbing imagery and mind-bending puzzles. In Post-Trauma, you play as Roman, a middle-aged train conductor who gets pulled into a surreal world filled with terrifying nightmares. In this strange world, the laws of reality change, and Roman must solve puzzles and face monstrous creatures to find a way out. Inspired by classic horror titles like Resident Evil and Silent Hill, the game offers a nostalgic yet fresh experience for players.
I think I can try.
DayZ is a survival game set in a post-apocalyptic world. The story revolves around a deadly virus that has wiped out most of humanity, turning people into dangerous, zombie-like creatures. You play as one of the survivors in this world, where you must fight to stay alive against zombie attacks and other players. In this ruthless world, there is no linear storyline or set missions. The primary goal of the game is for each player to survive as long as possible while facing challenges like hunger, thirst, disease, and external threats. DayZ Update brings significant improvements and new features to the game's core mechanics, offering a more immersive and engaging survival experience. Wuchang Fallen is an upcoming Souls-like action RPG developed by Lindsay and published by 505 Games. Wuchang Fallen takes place in a fantasy post-apocalyptic world set during the Ming Dynasty in China. In this game, you play as Wuchang, a female pirate warrior suffering from amnesia. She is afflicted by a mysterious disease called feathering, which transforms its victims into monstrous creatures. Wuchang must travel through the war-torn and plague-stricken lands of Shu, fighting terrifying inhuman creatures. Throughout the game, she gradually uncovers the secrets of her past while facing various enemies and mutated beings.
You've come here to find something.
Total Chaos tells a psychological horror story focused on mental health struggles and self-harm. The game takes you through the ruins of Fort Oasis, where you must navigate a nightmarish and decaying world on the brink of collapse. The story centers around the character as they confront their mental issues and uncover their past. Throughout the game, you will experience 9 terrifying chapters, each taking you into areas filled with horrific creatures and psychological challenges that deeply affect your mind and decisions. This world, tainted and full of demons, is essentially a symbol of a collapsing mind. Players must uncover mental puzzles and dark details of their past through remnants, notes, and images left behind.
This means
The War of the Worlds Siberia is an upcoming action-adventure game developed by 1C Game Studios, inspired by H.G. Wells's classic science fiction novel, The War of the Worlds. Siberia tells the story of the Martian invasion in an alternate 1896, where, instead of Britain, the invasion takes place across the Russian Empire, particularly focusing on the Siberian region. The game centers around the lives of people caught in this alien assault, exploring how this event impacts Russian society and its inhabitants. Throughout the game, you play as a character involved in this extraterrestrial attack, who must fight against various threats and escape the dangerous Siberian landscapes. The Martian forces, using advanced technology and ruthless weaponry, have destroyed various areas, and you must use strategy and combat skills to survive in this perilous world.
sorry, comrades, but I have a steamboat to catch. But how could he? I mean, isn't that betrayal?
Indeed it is, young man. It is.
Are you all right?
The Hidden Ones is an upcoming 3D action fighting game developed by More Fun Studios, inspired by the martial arts franchise The Outcast. Set in a mythical world rooted in ancient Eastern myths and philosophies such as Taoism and Yin Yang, the game offers a unique blend of myth and martial arts in a cinematic design. The story revolves around complex and mysterious battles where players take on the role of different characters. Each character has their own unique skills and personal story that unfolds throughout the game. Players will face various challenges and powerful enemies, using different strategies to uncover the truth and overcome their foes. The ultimate goal of the players is to defeat the forces of evil and restore balance between the various powers of the game's world.
Kazan!
The first Berserker Kazan is an upcoming action role-playing game developed by Neopol and published by Nexon. Set in the Dungeon and Fighter universe, the game serves as a prequel, exploring the untold story of Kazan, the first Berserker. The story revolves around the life and battles of Kazan, a warrior who participated in brutal wars in ancient times and acquired extraordinary combat skills through vicious battles. Kazan finds himself in a world filled with danger and chaos, where he faces powerful enemies and demonic creatures. Throughout his journey, Kazan encounters numerous challenges that lead him to discover his true identity and ultimately become the first Berserker. In this heroic journey, he must participate in bloody battles and uncover the hidden secrets of distant lands and the history behind the wars.
Let us stay on track, Dan.
Pathologic 3 is an upcoming narrative-driven adventure game developed by Ice Pick Lodge. Pathologic 3 has a mysterious and complex story that continues in the dark and decaying world of the previous Pathologic games. In this game, players take on the role of Daniil Dankovsky, a young doctor from the capital, who is sent to a small, decaying town to investigate a mysterious plague. This plague has caused death and severe illness among the town's inhabitants, pushing them to inhumane conditions. The story unfolds from the perspectives of different characters across various times. Daniil must uncover the hidden truths about the disease and the town's people. Throughout the game, he is faced with tough decisions that not only affect the course of the story, but also impact his own life and that of others.
Look at yourself. You failed. Utterly.
The plague mutated too quickly. And the patients, they deceived me again and again. I am no executioner, no inquisitor, no lawman, no soldier. I am a doctor, a man of science.
I wonder if you still know who you are. If you could begin anew, would you make the same choices?
Every decision I made was just.
I'm so glad.
It Was You is an upcoming first-person multiplayer murder mystery game that allows up to 12 players to dive into an intriguing and tense whodunit. In this game, players can take on the roles of either a detective or the killer. The detective's job is to use various tools to uncover the truth and investigate the murder, while the killer manipulates the evidence to cover their tracks. The game features a unique blend of murder, investigation, discussion, and deception. Players must use their true crime-solving skills to piece together the clues and figure out who the killer is, if they aren't the ones committing the crime, that is. On the other hand, as the killer, players need to be cunning, deceiving others while hiding their tracks and eliminating anyone who stands in their way.
We need to meet now.
Leave him alone.
What are you doing?
Which one of you did it?
Inaya Life. After Gods is an upcoming 2D action platformer developed by Exogenesis Studios. In Inaya, the story is set in a post-apocalyptic world where Inaya, an orphaned and outcast girl, embarks on a journey to find her tribe. Along the way, she is guided by the spirit of her deceased mentor. In a world that is deeply divided and full of various dangers, Inaya must fight enemies using her unique powers and tools. Throughout her journey, she forms new bonds and relationships. The game is designed in a way that every choice and decision made by the player can alter the course of the story and Inaya's destiny. The secrets that Inaya uncovers dramatically redefine the meaning of family and identity for her.
Sorry you haven't heard from me in a while.
Heartworm is an upcoming survival horror game developed by Vincent Adinolfi, inspired by classic titles like Silent Hill and Resident Evil. In Heartworm, the story revolves around the main character, Sam, who, after losing her grandfather, is deeply affected by grief and loneliness. Sam becomes obsessed with the idea of contacting the deceased and reconnecting with her grandfather. Her search leads her to a mysterious house in the mountains, rumored to have ties to the afterlife. The house Sam enters is eerie, filled with supernatural entities. The game uses fixed camera angles to enhance tension and atmosphere, and players must use puzzle-solving skills and strategy to progress through the story.
Ever come back. And that's why I'm writing you. Not for advice, not to get you to talk me out of going. By the time you read this, I'll already be there. I just wanted to let you know, in case I don't come back.
Desecrators is a retro-inspired first-person shooter developed by Woodhound. The game allows players to chart their own course in a randomized campaign style, with over 25 weapons to fight off waves of enemies. Explore sprawling procedural levels filled with traps, enemies, and secrets, either solo or with friends in co-op mode. Desecrators takes place in a post-apocalyptic world where humanity has been reduced to ruins after a great catastrophe. The world is filled with ancient installations and technologies that have become corrupted and destroyed for unknown reasons. You play as a desecrator, tasked with navigating this ruined world to raid these places in search of weapons, technology, and rare resources.
You have entered an unknown zone. Reactor overloading.
Deadside is an open-world survival shooter that combines hardcore PvP and PvE elements. Deadside takes place in a post-apocalyptic world, following the collapse of human civilization, where the world has turned into a dangerous wasteland. Players take on the role of survivors who must fight for survival in this ruined world. The story revolves around the struggle for survival in an environment filled with various enemies, including wild animals, ruthless survivors, and different factions fighting over resources. However, as players venture further into this world, they realize that the real threat isn't just human conflict. They must also face unknown dangers arising from a global catastrophe.